Ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome to this celebration and book launch at the OECD in Paris. My name is Shane O'Toole, and I'm your host for the event. I'm an architect by training, but nowadays I work mostly as a writer on architecture. I've never designed a school, sadly, but when I was practicing in architecture, I did design a building for children. It was Europe's first purpose-built cultural centre for young children aged from 4 until 14. It was called the Arc and is in Temple Bar in Dublin. And like all of the architects who are celebrated here today, their work of architecture is only great when it is promoted by a great client. And through that client, I learned something about children. That children should not be consumers and are not passive consumers, but are active participants. They are makers and doers and not just an audience. And I think that's a touchstone that will be recurring through the presentations that you will hear here this afternoon. So who will we meet during this celebration? We'll meet experts from 4 continents, an architect from Japan, educators from Australia, a researcher from Austria, a reformer from Chile, and an analyst from the OECD here in Paris. And who is in the audience? Well, there are architects, educators, clients, and policymakers. And they've traveled from far and wide, from all parts of Europe, from Mexico and the United States in the West, and from Japan and Korea in the East. There are also representatives of the Council of Europe, the European Investment Bank, and the World Bank. So I think we can say this truly is a global event here in the OECD in Paris today. And it's global in more ways than simply that, because there is a live webcast going out all over the world from this conference. So wherever you are, in whatever country, in whatever time zone, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. You're all very welcome, and thank you for looking in. I'm sure you'll not be disappointed with what you see and hear in the next few hours. I said this is a celebration, but what is the celebration? Well, it's several celebrations. It's celebrating 50 years of the Organization for Economic, the OECD, 40 years of CELE, and CELE is the acronym for the Center for Effective Learning Environments. So CELE is our celebration today. And this is a book launch event celebrating 50 years of educational facilities. The book is called Designing for Educational Facilities. Designing for Education. It's a compendium of exemplary educational facilities from all around the world. And it is the 4th such compendium that CELE has produced. It produces a new compendium every 5 years, a reflection on where we stand in relation to the architecture that supports education around the world. The compendium features 60 of the world's greatest schools, from pre-primary education to tertiary education. It contains reflections on where we have come from, where we are now, and where we need to go to meet the demands of 21st century living and what education must prepare the citizens of the future for. 166 projects from 33 countries, the best of all of the nations of the world, were submitted to an international jury which was headed by Rodolfo Almeida. And they had the difficult task, this jury, of selecting the best of the best. They selected 60 schools and educational facilities from 28 different countries. And today we're going to focus on 4 of the 6 commendations that the jury awarded to the very best of the best of the best. Okay, let's begin. I'm joined here on stage by 2 key figures behind the compendium, Designing for Education. Tony Sheppard, the chair of CELE, and Dr. Bernard Hugonnier, the OECD Deputy Director of Education. Tony is an old friend. We actually went to Architecture College in Dublin together many years ago. And he has been the chair of OECD's Centre for Effective Learning Environments since 2010. He's technical manager of the Planning and Building Unit at the Department of Education and Science in Ireland. Tony.
Thank you so much, Shane. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and dear friends present here in Paris and also throughout the world on the webcast, you are all welcome. As chair, I would like to welcome you to the lunch and thank you for being here to celebrate with us. The core of CELE's work is learning. Not only is learning the focus of the work, but CELE itself is a learning environment in which different countries and members learn about different educational systems and different perspectives on learning from each other. So it's a sharing organisation. For my own country, Ireland, the work of CELE has made a valuable contribution to the development of better learning environments, going back to many years ago, 40 years ago. It is therefore gives me great pleasure to introduce Ireland's Minister for Education and Skills, Rory Quinn. And while he was unable to be with us here today in person, he has recorded a short video for us. So Rory Quinn, Minister for Education and Skills, Ireland. I would like to thank the Minister for his words of encouragement. You will appreciate now his unusual background as a government minister, but I believe he is extremely well placed with his background as an architect to fully appreciate the importance of the quality of learning environments. And as a demonstration, a key demonstration or a real concrete demonstration of his commitment to quality of education, he has requested a major review of the educational briefs for both primary and post-primary schools. And also another concrete reflection of this is already an announcement of a competition for a 1,000 pupil post-primary school, and this will be formally announced before the end of this year. The buildings in which teaching and learning occur need to also allow for change. I believe this publication, Design for Education, illustrates how good design supports education. It also shows many possibilities of innovation, and it provides a range of examples that I hope will inspire the readership. I would like to thank everybody who submitted schemes. There were many schemes throughout the world, as has been referred to already. The work of the jury, chaired by Rodolfo Almeida, who is here today, was difficult. I'd like to thank all of the jury members for their deep commitment of time and experience. And lastly, I would just like to thank you all for listening in today and hope as readers of the publication that you will draw inspiration, whether as pupils, students, teachers, administrators, designers, that you will truly be inspired. So I thank you for attending today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you, Minister Quinn. Dr. Bernard Hugonnier is Deputy Director of the Directorate for Education in the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD. Prior to his present position, Bernard Hugonnier was head of the Territorial Development Service at the OECD from 1999 until 2002. But prior to joining the OECD, he was a consultant in economics and was teaching international economics at the University of Paris-Dauphine. And he is presently a lecturer in economics at Paris-Sorbonne University. Dr. Hugonnier.
Thank you, Shanae. Thank you, Tony, for your very kind words and nice introduction. Good afternoon, all. I recognize today a lot of people, whether students and school principals, architects, policymakers, and others. All welcome to you. Soyez les bienvenus ici à Paris, à l'OCDE. I would like to welcome in particular the people representing the schools and universities which are in the compendium. Congratulations to them. And at the same time, I must say I'm very proud. Je suis très fier de reconnaître deux écoles et une université française. Les deux écoles sont l'école internationale de Manosque et le collège de Vazem, si je prononce bien, et l'université Pierre et Marie Curie, qui est, comme vous le savez, une des rares universités qui se trouve dans le classement de Shanghai. All that, the compendium, all that is a result of good work, even excellent work of the Center for Effective Learning Environment, and in particular e-staff. You can recognize e-staff because they have a flower, you know, a nice flower on their jacket. So if you see them, just say hello and thank you for this excellent work. I would like to concur also with the word of Rory Quinn and also your words, Tony, that it is important to recognize the role of buildings and educational facilities because they can serve to improve educational effectiveness and learning outcomes. In that case, we can talk about effective educational facilities. Now, the question is, what do you mean by effective educational facilities? And you know, those are the criteria that the best schools and best universities had to meet in order to be in the compendium. So what are the criteria? Well, there are many. First of all, they need to meet the needs of education and communities. They need to support many principles, the principles of inclusion, of safety and comfort and flexibility to accommodate a diversity of teaching and learning strategies and technologies. They need to provide optimal use of resources to meet these needs, and they need to reduce, this is quite important and of growing importance in the objective for green growth or sustainable development, whatever you want to use, they need to reduce the environmental impact of schools and promote environmental education. If you meet all those criteria, you are in the compendium, and if you don't meet all those criteria, you are not in the compendium. But I would like also to stress the importance, and we've been doing a lot of work on this question of management. You know, managing educational facilities is not an easy task, and therefore that requires what we call effective and efficient management of resources and also management of significant investment. We are advocating at the OECD more and more autonomy left to schoolmasters, and this is indeed quite important because the management of investment, budget, and teachers is getting extremely complex. I would like also to thank the European Investment Bank because they've been supporting the development with CELE, our program, of a new database tool, which is called International Database of Best Practices in Educational Facilities Investment. This is a very nice tool, and you can get connected, and if you like, you can put your project on this database and get compared with the others. So this is an excellent idea, I think, to share the information and for transparency of experiences and good practices. This is an excellent initiative. Now, what you need to do is, this is my notes, you need to sit back, but you are already seated. You need to enjoy the spectacle and I would like to invite you also to a cocktail which is going to follow this presentation in a few minutes. Thank you very much for listening and have a good meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Hugonnier. I'm very impressed with the emphasis on the environmental aspects of the program, and that you are actually symbolizing this. It's a whole new sense of flower power that you and your colleagues are bringing to this agenda. Thank you.